Well, welcome back to the channel. It's May. As you can tell behind me, snow's going away compared to what it was in my winter videos. And it's time to get things up and rolling. You can see the wood pile is getting uncovered. We're going to use that lumber for building our cabin. Going to mill some more. Had a little bit of damage on my stovepipe. I'm gonna have to fix that at some point. Get a cricket and put up there for next winter, but I gotta get up there at some point and check the stovepipe out and reattach it or replace it, one of the two. As you can see, the truck's uncovered. The video or the pictures and videos that I shared in the winter months, it was all the way up to the bed of the truck, and it's uncovered. Got a little bit of issue with that. I got to get it repaired so it can go. I had a lot of frost heave on the sawmill. You can see that it's out of level, so I can't mill anything until I get it leveled, and I'm working on that now. But everything else is coming out good. It's kind of muddy, but I was able to drive up to the log cabin for the first time today. So let's get on with it. I'm going to be leveling out the bunks on the sawmill and see if I can't get it back to where I can use it and go that route. So I got the end bunk all leveled up, so at least that portion's level. This portion here, I don't know if you can see it, but it's still frozen. There's still ice under there. I'm going to have to wait for it to dry out a little bit so I can get that down. It's probably going to settle a little bit more once the ice starts thawing some, but I've got it all uncovered. I'll let it sit for a day and get the ice out. So now on to more projects to get everything up and running. And the chainsaw, I bought this little gadget. Comes with various size sharpeners. Bought this gadget to sharpen the chainsaw and keep it on angle. So I'm going to try it out, see how it works. Adjust it down so it's holding the tooth in the right spot. So I figured out how it works. There we go. Checking this other one I did, it seems to be sharpening pretty good. Well, I'm going to get this sharpened, get it all done. Well, I was able to get the saw sharpened. That thing worked pretty good once I figured out the proper way to use it. There's some tutorials you can find online that help you set it up right. I was able to cut up some logs, get them ready for milling. I cut them just a touch over 8 feet. That way I can trim them off with the chop saw when I'm ready to utilize them for building. But I have about 11 logs cut at 8 foot right now, which should give me quite a bit of lumber. And then there's more underneath the pile. They are up on logs underneath, so they're not on the ground per se. But I'm hoping to get all of the pile milled up before I move the mill to a new location. So, still waiting on the ground to thaw. Again, it's only been a couple hours. It's thawed some, but I have to let it sit over again, like I said, for the rest of the day, and go from there. So it's the next day. I've come up and been able to level out the sawmill. I'll probably have to do some more adjustments on it as the weather gets warmer. Eventually we'll end up, once things dry out, moving the mill over to another location, but for right now I'm going to do everything right here. I'm going to start milling. I just checked the oil, filled it up with gas, put tension on the blade, got everything ready to go. I'm going to start on a small log first. That little one laying there, so we can get a couple 2x4s out of it. It did get down to freezing last night, barely, so there's a little bit of ice on the ground here and there. But as you can see by the snow around the cabin and over here, it did melt a lot yesterday. I mean, you could almost watch it melt away. It was, well, it's supposed to get up into the 50s again today, and hopefully the rest of the snow will go and it'll start drying out the ground. We're not supposed to get rain for another 4 days, and then it's just light rain. But let's get on with it. I need about 50 2x4s for the build. I have roughly 30 right there. I'll have to figure out my 2x6 count that I need to get. So I need to cut at least 20 more 2x4s, and then I'll have to work on my 2x6s. But that's it. Let's get on. Getting the cabin opened up, getting everything working and ready to go for the summer projects. Everything seems to be working okay on this little log. Mill's running fine. I took some lessons when I was back down in Washington for the month from a friend of mine that has a mill, and taught me a few tricks, so I'm gonna try and instill them and see where it goes. Sorry I'm out of breath, but ever since I got sick a year and a half ago, I haven't had the wind anymore. So here we go, off to milling. Well, there you have it, what I got out of the little logs that I had cut that I can maneuver by myself. I got 6 2x4s, a couple of them have some wane in it, but they'll be used for cripples. 2 2x6s and 4 4x6s. I need 2 more 4x6s for the bottom, and then the 2x6s are going to be my floor joists. Other than that, it's coming along. Had to change blades once because I started off using last year's saw blade, which I got through most of it, and then it was just getting too difficult, so I changed into a new blade and it just started cutting like butter. So on with more projects. Help. So I've got the string line out. The red dots on the ground that you can see are where the posts are going to go. Down about 3 foot there's a small ice layer, so I'm uncovering that so it'll melt. I got to go down 4 feet to get me past that ice layer. So I'll let it sit for a couple of days. It should thaw right out. The first one that I dug is already thawing pretty good. Get it done. I've got an auger coming, but it's another week out. I kind of like to get the holes all done, or at least most of the way done, so I can start putting the posts in the ground once I get them treated. I'll be treating them in a couple of days. I've got them all cut and peeled, and I'll be soaking them in diesel oil mix 50-50, and according to all the Alaska old timers, it's the thing to do. I mean, that makes the post last almost forever. So a friend of mine's got a cabin that he treated those probably 20 years ago, and the posts are still solid. So the plan is I'm going to put a layer of concrete on the bottom. I'm going to dig it out wider than what the post is. Put a layer of concrete on the bottom so it's got a pad to sit on. I'm going to put the treated posts on. I cut them all 7 foot, so they'll probably be sticking up this high, but then I'll cut them off. I only want about 1.5 feet off the ground. There's no reason for me to have to crawl underneath this cabin once it's all said and done. So I cut them extra long, that way I can have extra wiggle room to deal with everything. So get on with it. This is where we're at. We're almost at the end of our first week. May not seem like a lot, but for one guy doing everything by hand for the most part, I think I did pretty good. So let's get on with it. So this first week at the cabin's been a good week. I've done quite a few things. I'll show you the wood pile here in just a second that I've got all milled up to the log cabin milling site. I've dropped some trees, got the base of those peeled so they can be used for the posts that go into the ground once they're treated. And I pickled some eggs, which I'm looking forward to. I've got my honey garlic going, and you can see the bubbles there at the top. And go back to our previous videos, and the same recipe for doing the asparagus is what I do in my eggs. I love them. And this morning I whipped up a chicken tortilla casserole, which will be supper. It's a wonderful meal. It lasts a while. So on with this week, finish it up. You can see the snow's pretty much melted. It's been, I mean, within a couple of days it all went away. So that's how warm it got with the warm air that was blowing. So let's get on with it. I'll finish up this week, one more day, and then that'll be a solid week, and I'll show you everything that we've got done.